Somewhere inside you, right now, there's still a child. Not in a sentimental or poetic sense, but in a very real psychological one. That child carries the echoes of everything you felt but couldn't express, everything you needed but didn't receive, and everything you feared but couldn't name. Those echoes don't fade with time. They hide beneath your adult habits, your triggers, your insecurities, and even your ambitions. The decisions you make, the relationships you form, the risks you avoid, they're all shaped in some way by the emotional blueprint left behind by your younger self. And until you face that inner child, until you listen to the echoes of its unmet needs, you'll keep living in patterns that feel familiar, but never free. This is the echo of the inner child, the invisible voice that turns every fear into repetition until you finally stop and listen. As children, we absorb the world not through logic, but through feeling. Every look, every word, every silence becomes part of our emotional reality. If love felt conditional, we learned to perform for it. If safety was inconsistent, we learned to control. If emotions were punished or ignored, we learned to hide them. The child mind doesn't know how to rationalize. It only knows how to survive. So it builds strategies. Those strategies become personality traits, and those traits become identity. You grow up thinking you've changed, but really you've just built a more sophisticated version of the same defense mechanisms. The anxious overthinker is often the child who never felt safe. The people pleaser is the child who had to earn love. The perfectionist is the child who believed mistakes meant rejection. The avoidant is the child who learned that vulnerability leads to pain. Behind every adult struggle is a child still trying to protect itself. Psychologists call this the inner child construct. But Carl Jung would describe it as a fragment of the psyche, the part of the self that holds our emotional truth. The problem is, most of us abandon that part early on. We internalize our caregiver's responses as self-concepts. When a parent says, "Stop crying," the child doesn't think, "My parent can't handle my emotion." The child thinks, "My emotions are wrong." That belief lodges deep in the subconscious, forming what modern psychology calls core beliefs. These core beliefs shape how we interpret everything. I'm not good enough. I'm a burden. I can't trust people. If I show who I am, I'll be rejected. These are not thoughts you choose. They're emotional imprints that whisper through every decision you make. And here's the paradox. As adults, we keep trying to fix adult problems without realizing the roots are buried in childhood wounds. You can chase success, build status, or perfect your body. But if your inner child still believes you're unworthy, no achievement will fill that void. You can find love, but if your inner child learned love equals pain, you'll sabotage it to feel safe. You can crave freedom, but if your inner child equates safety with control, you'll cling to what confines you. The adult keeps reaching forward, but the child keeps pulling back. That's why progress often feels like one step forward, 2 steps back. You're not fighting laziness or failure. You're fighting an old story. To heal, you must first listen. The echo of the inner child speaks through emotion. Every time you overreact, withdraw, or feel triggered, that's not irrationality, it's information. It's the child saying, "I've been here before." The present moment is just a doorway through which the past tries to be acknowledged. So instead of judging your reactions, start decoding them. Ask, what is this really reminding me of? When someone ignores your message and you feel hurt, does it truly sting because of the text or because it mirrors an old wound of being unseen? When someone criticizes you and your chest tightens, is it the words that hurt or the memory of never being good enough for someone who mattered? Every emotional flashback is an invitation to revisit the original moment where safety broke. The mind forgets, but the body remembers. Healing begins not through analysis, but through reparenting, the process of giving yourself now what you needed then. You can't change the past, but you can change the meaning it holds. You become the adult your younger self never had. That means showing up with compassion when your emotions rise instead of shaming yourself for being too sensitive. It means setting boundaries not to punish others, but to protect the child in you that once had none. It means validating your feelings without needing someone else to understand them first. You start speaking to yourself the way a loving parent would. You're safe now. You're allowed to feel. You're enough as you are. The nervous system begins to relax when it finally receives the safety it's been chasing for decades. Neuroscience supports this. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, doesn't distinguish between real danger and emotional memory. That's why unresolved childhood fear feels alive in adult life. But when you consciously comfort yourself in moments of distress, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain that can soothe the amygdala. Over time, this rewires your response. The emotional memory remains, but its power weakens. You stop reacting as the frightened child and start responding as the healed adult. One of the most powerful ways to begin this integration is through visualization. Picture your younger self, maybe 5 years old, maybe 12, standing before you. Notice the expression on their face. Notice how small they seem compared to the weight they carry. Then imagine kneeling down, meeting their eyes and saying, "I see you. I know you've been trying so hard to keep me safe, but you don't have to do it alone anymore." This simple exercise, repeated over time, begins to dissolve the barrier between your present consciousness and your suppressed emotions. It transforms inner conflict into connection. You're no longer running from the child, you're walking beside them. The echo of the inner child doesn't disappear through suppression, it quiets through acknowledgement. You can't silence a wound by ignoring it. You heal it by listening until it no longer needs to shout. That's why awareness alone can feel like freedom. The moment you realize your anger isn't about the present insult but about old helplessness, the moment you see your fear of rejection isn't about this person but about that parent, you reclaim choice. Awareness breaks the spell of repetition. The truth is, every fear you carry today was once an intelligent adaptation. Your inner child created those fears to protect you. If you learned to stay quiet, it was because speaking up once led to pain. If you learned to please others, it was because being agreeable kept you safe. But what once protected you now restricts you. Healing means thanking those old defenses for what they did, and then letting them go. You don't destroy the walls, you outgrow them. It's not an easy journey. Healing the inner child can feel like betrayal at first, because part of you believes that to stop being afraid is to stop being careful, and being careful is how you survived. But there's a difference between survival and living. The child in you deserves more than survival. It deserves joy, curiosity, and safety that doesn't depend on control. And only you can give it that. As you start this process, be patient. The echoes will soften gradually. One day, something that used to trigger you won't. You'll realize you didn't shut it down. You transformed it. You'll stop needing others to fill the gaps that love should have filled long ago because you'll have learned to give that love to yourself. That's when fear begins to dissolve, not because the world got safer, but because your inner world did. So the next time fear rises, instead of resisting it, listen. Beneath that fear is a younger voice saying, "Please don't leave me again." And your job now is to say, "I won't." That's how the echo fades. That's how the cycle ends. When you stop abandoning your inner child, you stop abandoning yourself. And when that happens, life doesn't just feel lighter. It finally feels like it belongs to you.